right, Algebra 1, Lesson 8. This is on area, so this should be review again. And so we're just going to cover these quickly. But let's talk about, if I was going to find the area of a rectangle, hopefully you remember that the area equals length times width. Length times the width. So 5 and 6, the area of this would be 30, and if these were inches, it would be 30 inches squared. Remember, you're going to start adding this inches squared when you're working with area because you have two different measurements that are being multiplied. So inches times inches makes inches squared. Okay, so hopefully you remember that the area of a rectangle is length times width. The area of a square is pretty much length times width, but because they are the same, because a square has all the same amounts, 5, 5, 5, 5, you would basically say side times side, which is the same thing as length times width. Just the length is going to be the same as the width. So this would be 5 times 5, 5 inches times 5 inches, which would be 25 inches squared. Okay? Hopefully you remember that. Now, what if we were to take a little bit more of a complex shape? For example, something like this. Hopefully you remember from the past math lessons that when you have something like this, you're going to divide up the rectangles, okay? Now I'm going to go on and write down how much each of these are, the measurements. All right, so this is 6, 2, 4, 3, 2, 5, okay? Now I can divide it here, or I can divide it here. I really don't care, okay? But basically what you're going to take is you're going to have this one right here as a rectangle, and then you're going to have this one over here as a rectangle. Now, this whole thing is 6, but we need just the amount of this for the bottom, and this is the side, or this, okay? And then we're going to take this on all of that. Now, I'll explain. Let's look at this one first, okay? Hopefully you see that this is 4, so guess what? The parallel of that is going to be 4. So if this whole thing is 6, then this piece is 4. What is this piece going to be? Hopefully you see that it's 2. And as you can see that this is 2 and this is 2. So we're good. Okay? So I'm going to erase this 6. Alright? So when we're working on finding rectangles, I want to find the rectangle 1 area and rectangle 2. You see how I put an R1 and an R2? That's important for me as I do this problem on my paper because I'm showing myself that I'm doing rectangles, which I know rectangles mean length times width. So I'm going to go on and write out my formula that I'm going to use on rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. Rectangle 1, what is my length? Okay, I could do this down here or this up here, however you want to do it. The length, make sure you're not using this 3 because that's only a portion of the length, okay? So we're going to use 5 for the length, and my width is 2. Well, you can see that. And then let's just say this is in inches. 5 inches times 2 inches would be 10 inches squared. All right, now let's move to rectangle 2. All right, I have my length, 4, my width, 2. So 4 and 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. So 4 inches times 2 inches equals 8 inches squared. Now we're not done. That just answered this one and this one. So basically this would be 10 inches squared and this one would be 8 inches squared. So what is the total? Hopefully you can see it's 10 plus 8. So it would be 18 inches squared. All right? That's how you would find the answer to that kind of problem. Now, what about this? Because this gets a little bit, I guess you would say more difficult, but it's really not. Okay? They show a huge square, and they give us the dimensions 8 and 10 right there. And then, over here to the side, there's a small portion taken out of this whole shape. Now, they're going to show that by coloring this in. Okay, this is black in the book. Okay? Alright, so all this is black, and then you have this piece that's cut out. And they want to know find the area of the shaded portion. Okay? And then all angles are right angles. Dimensions are in meters. Now, they tell us that, you can barely see it, that this length is 6 and this length is 2. Now, how do you think we're going to discover what just the shaded part is? Well, the first thing you're going to do is just figure out how much this whole block has. And you're going to do that by area equals length times width. Okay? So that's 10 times 8. And they said it was in meters, so that's going to be 80 meters squared. 10 times 8. So this whole thing is 80 meters squared. But this portion we're wanting to pull out. Okay? So let's look at this area. This would be the area of this rectangle. And let's go and put area of rectangle 2. And let's just name this rectangle 1. Okay? Rectangle 2 is going to be length times width, which is 6 times 2. So the area of this rectangle is going to be 12 meters squared. So if I have this whole thing 80, and I need to pull this piece out because we're only wanting the shaded portion, then I'm going to take 80 meters squared minus this 12 meters squared. And that's going to give me my answer, exactly what I need, okay, which is going to be 68 meters squared. So this portion right here is 68 meters squared because I took out that 12, all right? So that's how you would work that kind of problem, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, now let's look at triangles, okay? Areas of triangles. Now, there are 3 different ways that you're going to see triangles set up. For example, you're going to see this one's probably the easiest. You have a height and you have a base times height. Okay, and we're going to talk about exactly what that means in just a second. Sometimes you'll see a triangle that looks like this, and then it'll have this little dotted line right here. Okay? You never want to take the height of a slanted line because you're not going to get the real height. You want the height from the bottom to the top of the triangle, straight up. So this will be height, and then this whole thing will be the base. So base times height. Alright? And then you'll even see some triangles that look kind of funky, like this. Okay? And they'll extend this little dotted line and then this dotted line. Okay? And that's just basically showing you that we need to get the height from the bottom of the triangle to the top of the triangle. Okay? And so this would be height, alright, and this would be base. Alright? Now, let's go over something real quick. The area of a triangle, is base times height divided by 2. Okay? That's very important. If you do not know that, you need to know that. ACTs, all kind of stuff, you need to know that. Okay? Another way you could say is just half of base times height. Basically says the same thing. Okay? This means the same thing as this, so however you want to memorize it, I don't care. They both mean the same thing. And if it helps you to realize base times height is basically length times width. But the reason why they divide it by 2 is because look what happens. When I divide a rectangle in half, I get a triangle. So that's why divided by 2 is important. Okay? Now we quickly reviewed that. Let's do some of the problems. Okay? For example, this is one of the problems that they give me. Now I want you to pay attention. They turned this one on its side. 6, 10, 8. Hopefully you can see that I can sit it up. Okay? And it would end up looking like this. If I turned this whole thing and set it straight up, then this would be here. My 8 would be here, my 6 would be here, and my 10 would be here. Hopefully you can see that. Okay? This was very important that they had this little clue on here that shows that that's a right angle. So I knew that that one went straight up and this one was the side. So I'm going to use this. So area equals, for the triangle, is base times height divided by 2. So the base is 6. The height is 8. 6 times 8, 48. Divided by 2 is 24. And this is in inches, I think, feet squared, because we're having 6 feet squared and 8 feet squared makes 24 feet squared. All right, let's do another one. This one's something that you may see, and it's mixed. And what I mean by that is, watch what happens. Okay, I'm going to enter all the information in. Okay, this is 10, this is 6, and this is 4. Now what I'm going to do is divide this. Hopefully you see that that's important to do. Now I have a rectangle and a triangle. Now, I need to know what this is, and then I need to know what this is, this portion, because we just know this whole thing is 10. Okay, so I'm going to go and break this 10 up, and because this is 6, I know this is 6. Hopefully you see that parallel. But I also know that since this is 4, this is 4 right here, this dotted line. Okay, so then what is this portion right here? Hopefully you can see if this whole thing is 10, this portion is 6, then this small portion over here would be 4, because 6 and 4 make a total of 10. You see that? So I'm going to erase that 10 now that we've got our numbers set up. Okay, so now I'm going to find the area of a rectangle, and then I'm going to find the area of a triangle. And the reason why I make those, and you can just put R and T, however you want to do it, rectangle is going to be length times width, triangle is going to be base times height divided by 2. And those are just going to help me so I don't forget what I'm doing, because a lot of people will get to this triangle and just do the base times height and forget to divide it by 2. But that's what you do for a triangle, is you divide it by 2. So let's go and do this rectangle. Length times width. Length is 6, width is 4. 6 times 4 is 24. And this is in feet, I think, yards. 24 yards, okay, squared, because we're working with area, and area is always multiplying 2 numbers. Now let's do this triangle. So this is 24 yards squared. Now let's do this triangle. 4 times 4, base times height, 4 and 4, divided by 2. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 yards squared. So what is this total? It would end up being 32. 24 plus 8, 32 yards squared. All right? And that's how you would work that problem. All right? Got a few more things to learn on this one. This is a pretty long one. But let's do the area of a circle, and then we got an area of parallelograms and trapezoids. All right, let's talk about the area of a circle. There's my circle. Okay, hopefully you remember. I'm just going to put R for radius. Okay, the area of a circle, again, if you do not know this, you absolutely need to know this for ACTs, SATs, so memorize these formulas. The area of a circle is pi times R squared. Okay, pi times R, when they're next to each other, that just means multiply. Pi times R squared. Okay, so for example, let's say my radius was 3 centimeters. How would I find the area of the circle? Area is on the inside, remember that? Circumference is the distance around. We're finding the inside. So I'm going to say A equals, pi is 3.14. Hopefully you remember that, okay? And then times R, which is 3, squared. All right? Now, a lot of people will just say that this is 6 and forget that they're actually taking 3 2 times. 3 times 3, and that would be 9. I can't tell you how many people make that error. So 3 squared is 9, and then 9 times 3.14 would end up being 28 point something. Yeah, 28.26 centimeters squared. Final answer. Okay? So that is the area of a circle. Let's try this. Sometimes they're going to give you the answer, meaning this. The area of the circle is 25 meters squared, or square meters. Find the radius. Okay, so this is the answer. Area equals pi r squared. And they tell us the answer is what? The area of a circle is 25 meters squared. So if I say 25 meters squared equals, I know what pi is, 3.14, times r squared. Well, I don't know what my r is, okay? So hopefully you can see I need to take 3.14 times something squared to equal my 25 meters squared. Do you see that? Okay? And so, what do I need to do to get this answer? Hopefully you know that you need to divide, because 3.14 times something equals 25. So I'm going to take 3.14 times something equals 25 meters squared. Okay? And I'm not going to do the actual math right here. And so I'm going to look in the book to see what the answer is so we don't have to do the math part. So it's going to end up being 7.96. All right, 7.96 is the final answer, okay? But they would just want to know what the radius is, all right? That is what the answer is squared. So I actually have to figure out what is just the radius, not the squared radius. And when I get that answer, it ends up being 2.82 meters final for the R, okay? So let me show you how we did that. That R, this became 7.96, okay? But we're still trying to figure out that was what the radius squared was, but we just want the radius. So we have to take the square root of 7.96, and that's what we get. And you'd have to do that on the calculator. You'd have to put in 7.96 and then find the square root of it. Hit square root, and it will come up with this answer. Okay? Hopefully you understand that. Now, let's take a problem like this. This may look kind of weird. Okay? All right. And they give us a few information. Okay. 5. They tell me that this is 2, and I'm going to explain all this in just a minute. 4 and 2. Okay, hopefully you can see that I actually have 1 shape, 2 shape, 3 shapes. Okay? This first shape is a triangle, rectangle, and this is a circle in half. Now, here's what I want you to do, is you're going to find the area of the triangle. See how I wrote that area of triangle? And that is base times height divided by 2. Then you're going to find the area of the rectangle, which is length times width. It's important that you're writing these out so you don't forget what you're doing every time. And then this is the area of a circle, AC, but we're not finding the whole circle. We're just finding half. So, what is the area of a circle? Pi r squared, but we're only wanting half of it, so then you're going to divide it by 2. Do you see why we do that? Because I'm not finding the whole circle, I'm just finding half of it. So, the area of a circle is pi r squared divided by 2 to find a semi-circle area of, okay? So, now I've got my formulas down here, and that's going to help me so I don't forget what I'm going to do. And now I'm actually going to do it, okay? I have a base and a height, base, height. So, 2 times 4, 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So, this answer is going to be 4 after I did all my work. And this is in inches squared. Okay, now let's move to our rectangle. I have a 5 for this spot and a 4 for this spot. Again, I'm going to just take 5 times 4 and get 20. So this is 20 inches squared for my answer. Okay, and now let's take this circle. Okay, and we're wanting to find pi r squared divided by 2. And so I'm going to move this over here. Pi r squared divided by 2. That's what we're working. Okay, so 3.14 times, what's my r? My radius, a 2 squared divided by 2. So let's work this. 2 squared would be 4, and so this would be 3.14 times 4 2 squared is 4. And then we're going to divide that by 2. And so 3.14 times 4, it's going to give us something like 12.56, I think. 12.56 over 2. So 12.56 divided by 2 is going to give us the final answer of 6.28. 6.28. So this portion answer from here to here on the inside is 6.28 inches squared. So to find the whole area of the whole figure, we're going to add 20 plus 4 plus 6.28. And we're going to end up getting 30.28 inches squared for the total amount added. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to do it that way. So make sure you're taking it in steps because it helps. All right? Last portion of the problem, we're going to be looking at a parallelogram. That is a parallelogram. Both pairs of lines are parallel. Now, here's the information they give us. 8, 5, 5, 8. Then they give us this information. They're showing from the bottom to the top of this, it is 4. Now that's important for us to know because on a parallelogram, you want to write this information down. On a parallelogram, you are going to answer what's on the inside of the area. When you have the area of a parallelogram, you're always going to divide the parallelogram in half, and guess what you get? 2 triangles. Okay? So, help me out on this. All right? So I'm basically finding the triangle 1 and triangle 2. Area of triangle 1 and area of triangle 2. And again, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. That's important that you write that down so you don't forget what you're doing. All right. Now, let's look at this problem for just a second. All right. Hopefully you see this 5, it's slanted, and this is my base. Okay? This 5 is slanted, so it's not a real height. What is the real height? 4. Okay? On this one up here, imagine if this was flipped on the side down. This would be my base, and then this 5 would be my slanted piece, so my height is still 4. So on both of these, it's going to be 8 times 4. Base times height. Height, you always take a straight level for the height. Okay? So 8 times 4 divided by 2. 8 times 4 is 32. Divided by 2 is 16, and this is in inches? Centimeters. Centimeters squared. Okay, and again, 8 times 4 divided by 2, 32 over 2 equals 16 centimeters squared. So if this is 16 and this is 16, then the whole thing is 32 centimeters squared final. Okay? Hopefully that made sense. All right, and last one. So make sure you're writing down on parallelograms, you're always wanting to divide that into 2 triangles. Okay? Now the next one that we're going to be doing is a trapezoid. And it pretty much has the same rules as the parallelogram. You're going to divide it into 2 triangles. So again, let me write down some information. This is important for you to know. So try to start memorizing that that's what you need to do so that when you get on the ACT, you'll know that when you see a trapezoid, how are you going to find the area? It's by dividing it into 2 triangles. Now, again, they give us this information from bottom to top. This is 4. All right? So now, I'm going to divide this. As you can see, I have a triangle and a triangle. All right? Triangle 1, triangle 2. So I'm going to say area of triangle 1, area of triangle 2. And I'm going to go in and write base times height divided by 2 so I don't forget what I'm doing on my problems. All right, make sure I'm still good. Yes. Okay, so my base, this is my, let's do triangle 1. Well, okay, triangle 1 is this one right here. Okay, remember the slanted line is not your base or your height because it's slanted. Your base is going to be 9, okay, and your height is going to be 4 because that's what you need is a straight line, level, going straight up, vertical, and for a 4. So I'm going to say this is triangle 1, and it's going to be 9 times 9, and then the height is 4 divided by 2. 9 times 4, 36 divided by 2. What is that? Nope. Gosh, 18. I just went blank for a minute. Okay, 18, and this is in meters. Meters squared. So that one's 18. Triangle 1 is 18 meters squared. What about triangle 2? Base is 15. Height is 4. You never want to use the slanted line. And then divide that by 2. 15 times 4, I believe, is going to be 45. 45 divided by 2. I'm going to want to look and see what they give us. And we're going to end up getting 30 on this answer. 15 times 4 divided by 2. It's going to, 15 times 4, yeah, that's way more. Okay, so it ends up being 60 divided by 2. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, and so then 60 divided by 2 is 30, and this is meters squared. So this one's 30 meters squared. So what is the area of the entire trapezoid? Then it's going to be 30 meters squared plus 18 meters squared, which is 48 meters squared. All right, that is lesson 8.